The man standing at the head of that table was my husband. But until that moment, I had no idea the entire room belonged to him. Amara Bennett stood quietly near the back of the Chicago ballroom, her fingers tightening around the small leather purse she had carried into the building that morning. Crystal lights shimmered above her, reflecting across polished floors and glass walls that overlooked the city skyline. She had expected an ordinary business event, nothing more. Ethan had told her he needed to attend an important meeting, and she had come only because he had asked her to wait nearby. Then the room changed. Conversations faded. Executives straightened their jackets. Assistants stepped aside. One by one, nearly everyone turned toward the entrance. Ethan Whitmore walked in. He wore a dark navy suit, his expression calm and controlled, his brown hair neatly styled, his posture carrying a confidence Amara had never seen inside their modest apartment. A man in a silver tie approached him immediately. "Mr. Whitmore, the board is ready." Amara stopped breathing for a moment. "Mr. Whitmore." The name echoed through her mind. She had heard it before, but never connected it to the quiet man who drank coffee at her kitchen table every morning. Ethan looked across the room, and then he saw her. His expression changed. For the first time since Amara had known him, the powerful mask slipped. He looked almost afraid. Not of the executives. Not of the meeting. Of her. Amara did not move. She simply watched as the people around him treated him like a man who could change the future of an entire company with one decision. A giant screen behind him displayed the name Whitmore Global, followed by figures Amara could barely comprehend. Billions of dollars in assets. Thousands of employees. Offices across the country. Her husband was not simply successful. He owned an empire. Yet only a few months earlier, she had met him in a quiet neighborhood cafe after a long winter afternoon. He had seemed tired, reserved, and strangely alone. He had told her that he needed a place to stay. He had never mentioned the fortune. He had never mentioned the company. He had never mentioned that people across Chicago knew his name. Amara had simply seen a man who needed a home. She had offered him one without asking what he could give her in return. Now, standing beneath the bright lights of his empire, she understood that Ethan had hidden an entire world from her. He slowly walked toward her, leaving the executives waiting behind him. "Amara," he said softly. She looked at him, searching his face for the man she knew. "How long?" she asked. Ethan lowered his eyes. The silence between them suddenly felt larger than the entire ballroom. And for the first time, Amara wondered whether the man she had married had ever truly trusted her enough to let her know who he was. Months earlier, before the ballroom and the unanswered questions, Amara Bennett had never imagined that a simple decision made on a cold Chicago evening would change her entire life. She had been standing behind the counter of a small neighborhood cafe, watching snow gather along the windows, when Ethan Whitmore first walked through the door. He did not look like a billionaire. He did not arrive surrounded by assistants. He wore a simple charcoal coat, carried a worn leather briefcase, and chose the quietest table near the window. "Coffee, please," he had said, his voice calm but tired. Amara placed a cup in front of him and noticed that he barely touched it. He simply stared through the glass at the snow-covered street. After nearly an hour, she finally asked, "Are you waiting for someone?" Ethan looked up. "No," he said. "I am trying to decide where I belong." Something about that answer stayed with her. Over the next several days, he returned to the cafe at almost the same time. They talked about ordinary things. Weather, books, the strange cost of rent in Chicago, the best places to find a quiet breakfast on a Sunday morning. Ethan never talked about business, and Amara never pushed him. One evening, after the cafe had closed, Ethan remained seated by the window. He looked at the empty street and quietly admitted that he had been living out of a temporary apartment for months. His work kept him moving, but none of the places he stayed ever felt like home. Amara listened without judgment. Then she surprised both of them with a simple question. "Why do you not just find a place and stay?" Ethan gave a faint smile. "Because I have spent years building places for other people. I never learned how to make one for myself." Amara did not know what to say. She only knew that the man sitting across from her seemed less like a powerful businessman and more like someone who had forgotten what it felt like to be expected somewhere. Their friendship grew quietly. Ethan began helping her carry supplies into the cafe. Amara began saving his usual seat by the window. Neither of them called it love. Neither of them made promises. Then one evening, Amara learned that Ethan needed to leave his temporary apartment sooner than expected. She looked at him across her small kitchen table and said something she would remember for the rest of her life. You need a home. I have one. Ethan stared at her, almost unable to believe what he had heard. Amara continued, I am not offering you money. I am not asking for money. I am saying that if you need somewhere safe to come back to, you can come here. The proposal that followed was not romantic in the way movies often imagined. It was practical, quiet, and born from trust. Marriage would make their arrangement simpler, they agreed, but there would be rules. Honesty where it mattered. Respect always. No pretending to be someone they were not. Ethan accepted. Amara believed she was giving a lonely man a chance to belong. She did not know that the man sitting across from her had enough wealth to own entire blocks of the city. And Ethan did not yet understand that the small home she offered so freely would become the one thing in his life he could never replace. The first rule of their marriage was simple: no secrets that could change everything. At the time, Amara Bennett believed they both understood what that meant. She had no idea how badly Ethan Whitmore would eventually break it. The first morning after he moved into her apartment, Chicago was covered in pale winter light. Amara stood in the kitchen, pouring coffee into two mismatched mugs while Ethan sat at the small table near the window. Nothing about him looked like the man she had seen months later beneath crystal chandeliers. He wore a plain gray sweater. His leather briefcase rested beside the chair. His phone remained face down. You take it black, Amara said, sliding the mug toward him. Ethan looked at it, then at her. You remembered. You order the same thing every day. A faint smile crossed his face. I suppose I am predictable. That is one word for it. For a few seconds, the apartment felt almost ordinary. The refrigerator hummed. A bus passed outside. Morning light touched the worn wooden table between them. This was the life Ethan had secretly begun to treasure. Not the boardroom. Not the skyline. This. A place where someone noticed how he drank his coffee. Their marriage had started as a practical arrangement, but the rules mattered to Amara. They would respect each other's space. They would not interfere with each other's work. They would never use money to control the other person. Most importantly, they would tell the truth when the truth mattered. Ethan had agreed without hesitation. That last promise was the one he found hardest to keep. His business required discretion. His family expected privacy. Whitmore Global had grown into an enormous corporation under his leadership, and every detail surrounding his personal life could become a headline. So Ethan convinced himself that silence was not deception. It was protection. Amara had no reason to question him. She saw him leave each morning in an ordinary sedan. She watched him return in the evening with the same quiet expression. Sometimes he cooked dinner. Sometimes he washed the dishes while she finished work at the kitchen table. He was learning the rhythm of a home he had never expected to have. One evening, Amara found him standing beside the window, staring at the city lights. You look worried, she said. Ethan turned. Just thinking. About work? About what happens when people find out who I am. Amara frowned. Who are you? The question stayed between them. Ethan almost answered. Almost. Then his phone rang. He glanced at the screen, and something in his expression became distant. I have to take this. Amara watched him step into the hallway. She did not follow. She trusted him. That trust was precisely what made the secret so dangerous. Later that night, Ethan returned to the kitchen and found Amara asleep over a book. He quietly placed a blanket over her shoulders and stood there for a moment. The billionaire who could command an entire empire was powerless against one simple truth. He was beginning to love the home she had given him. And every day he kept his secret, the price of telling her became higher. The next morning, Amara woke before Ethan and sat quietly at the kitchen table, staring at the closed laptop across from her. She had spent most of the night thinking about the photograph she had found. She had not told Ethan that she knew. Not yet. The man in that photograph had been introduced as Ethan Whitmore, founder and chief executive of Whitmore Global, a business empire worth billions of dollars. Yet the man sleeping in the next room had once told her he did not know where he belonged. Amara could not understand how both versions could exist inside the same person. When Ethan finally entered the kitchen, he stopped when he saw her expression. You are awake early. I could not sleep. He poured himself coffee, then looked at her carefully. Is something wrong? Amara almost asked him directly. Instead, she said, How long have you been working for Whitmore Global? Ethan froze for the briefest moment. Why do you ask? That answer told her more than any explanation could have. She lowered her eyes. I was just curious. Ethan sat across from her. Amara, there are things about my work that are complicated. I know. His eyes lifted. What do you know? She wanted him to tell her. She wanted him to choose honesty without being forced. But Ethan remained silent. The moment passed. Later that day, Ethan left for what he called a business meeting. Amara stayed home, still trying to understand the man she had married. By evening, an invitation arrived for Ethan. It was for a private corporate gala at a luxury hotel downtown. Amara saw the envelope on the counter before Ethan could take it. You are going tonight? She asked. Ethan hesitated. Yes. Can I come? His expression changed. It is not really your kind of event. The words hurt more than he intended. Amara looked at him steadily. You are my husband. Why would I not be welcome? Ethan had no answer. Finally, he said, of course you can come. That night, Amara wore a simple cream dress and walked beside him through the hotel entrance. She expected a formal gathering. She was not prepared for what happened next. The moment Ethan entered the ballroom, conversation stopped. Senior executives approached him. Assistants followed. Cameras turned in his direction. A large screen displayed the Whitmore Global emblem behind the stage. Then the host stepped forward. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the founder and chief executive officer of Whitmore Global, Ethan Whitmore. Applause filled the room. Amara stood completely still. Ethan turned toward her. For one long second, neither spoke. She finally understood the scale of the secret he had kept. The man beside her was not simply successful. He was the person everyone in the room had been waiting to see. Ethan walked toward her, his face filled with regret. Amara, please let me explain. She looked at him with quiet disbelief. You could have told me. He lowered his voice. I was afraid. Of what? Ethan looked around the room, then back at her. Of losing the first person who ever saw me without knowing my name. Amara's eyes softened for a moment, but the hurt remained. She turned toward the ballroom doors. Then you should have trusted me with the truth. And with those words, she walked away, leaving the billionaire standing beneath the lights of an empire she had never known existed. The ride home from the gala was quieter than either of them expected. Chicago moved past the car windows in a blur of white headlights and winter reflections. But inside the vehicle, Ethan and Amara sat, with several inches of silence between them. Ethan wanted to explain everything at once. The company, the family, the years of pressure, the reason he had hidden his identity. But every explanation sounded smaller than the one fact that mattered most. He had promised honesty, and he had broken that promise. When they reached the apartment, Amara walked inside without speaking. She placed her purse on the kitchen chair and removed her coat slowly. Ethan remained near the doorway. Amara. She turned. I am listening. His voice was careful. I never married you because I wanted to test you. She looked at him, surprised. Then why did you hide everything? Ethan took a breath. Because everyone who enters my life eventually wants something from me. A position, a connection, a favor. Sometimes they do not even realize they are doing it. Amara folded her arms. And you decided I should be treated like everyone else? No, he said immediately. I decided I was afraid to find out whether you were different. Her expression changed, but she did not soften completely. That was not your decision to make. Ethan nodded. You are right. The simple admission caught her off guard. He did not defend himself. He did not mention the billions. He did not remind her of everything he could provide. He simply stood there and accepted the weight of what he had done. The next morning, Amara woke before sunrise and found a note beside her coffee mug. Ethan had written only a few lines. He had listed the facts he should have told her from the beginning. His position at Whitmore Global. His ownership stake. The responsibilities surrounding his family. The reason he had lived quietly for so long. There was no attempt to impress her. No dramatic promise. Just the truth. Amara read the note twice. Then she looked toward the empty chair across from her. Ethan had already left. At the office, he faced a completely different kind of pressure. Several senior executives were concerned about his marriage becoming public. They worried about headlines, investors, and the image of the company. Ethan listened without interruption. Then one executive finally said, "You have built an empire around control. You cannot allow your personal life to become a weakness." Ethan looked through the glass wall toward the city. For years, he would have agreed. This time, he shook his head. My marriage is not a weakness. The room became quiet. And I will not use this company to control the person I love. It was the first time Ethan had spoken about Amara openly inside the company. Meanwhile, Amara returned to the small cafe where they had first met. She sat near the same window where Ethan had once stared into the snow and said he did not know where he belonged. She finally understood the strange irony. Ethan had been searching for a home long before he had ever needed a place to live, and she had given him one without knowing what he owned. The question now was whether he could prove that he deserved to stay. The next morning, Ethan Whitmore did something no one on his executive team expected. He canceled every meeting that did not require his presence, left the downtown headquarters before sunrise, and drove back toward the neighborhood where his life had quietly changed. He did not bring an assistant. He did not bring a driver. Most importantly, he did not bring a solution that could be purchased. When he reached the small cafe where Amara had first met him, she was already there, sitting near the window with a cup of coffee in front of her. Ethan stopped a few feet away. "May I sit down?" Amara looked at the empty chair across from her. "If you are here to explain your company again, I already understand." Ethan shook his head. "I am here to explain myself." She said nothing, so he sat. For several seconds, neither spoke. Outside, Chicago moved through another cold morning, people hurrying along the sidewalk while the cafe remained warm and quiet. "I was wrong," Ethan finally said. "Not because I have money. Not because I built a company. I was wrong because I decided what you could handle without giving you the chance to decide for yourself." Amara studied his face. "Why did you think I would leave?" Ethan looked down at his hands. "Because people always leave when they discover the world behind me. Maybe they leave because you never let them see the real you." The word stayed with him. Ethan nodded slowly. "Maybe." He reached into his coat and placed a single key on the table. It was not a key to a luxury apartment or a private office. It was the key to the small home they had shared. "I want you to keep this," he said. "But I do not want you to stay because you think you owe me anything." Amara looked at the key. "What are you asking for?" "Nothing." Ethan paused. "I am asking for the chance to earn back your trust." Before Amara could answer, Ethan received a message from his chief financial officer. There was an urgent board meeting scheduled for that afternoon. Several directors wanted him to make a decision about the public attention surrounding his marriage. Ethan stood. "I have to go." Amara looked up. "You always have somewhere important to be." He gave a small, almost sad smile. "Not more important than this." At Whitmore Global, the boardroom was already filled when Ethan arrived. The conversation quickly turned to reputation, investors, and the future of the company. One director suggested that Ethan should keep his personal life completely separate from the business. Another implied that his marriage could create unnecessary questions. Ethan listened until everyone had finished. Then he spoke calmly. "My personal life is not a corporate asset." The room became still. "You hired me to lead this company. I will do that. But I will not allow this company to decide whom I trust, whom I love, or what kind of life I build." For the first time, Ethan chose something that could not be measured on a balance sheet. He chose a boundary. Later that evening, he returned home alone. Amara was not there yet. He placed his briefcase beside the door and looked around the apartment. The furniture was modest. The kitchen was small. Nothing in the room belonged in a billionaire's magazine spread. Yet Ethan had never felt richer. He finally understood that the empire had given him everything except the one thing he had been searching for. A place where someone expected him to come home. Ko the Kim Tra, and Hung Hien Tai Tua Chua Ko 9 Fan Noi Dung Qua Kung Mot Ka Chien Trong File Library. Tua the Kim Tra Kak Tai Lu Training Hien Ko. Chung Gam Tsung Tuk Tu Da. Outline 9 Fan. Content Malvavan Fong / KY Thuit. Chu Chua Thay Mot. Bo. Part 1 Part 9 Hon Chin Kwa Ka Chuyen Ban Muon Audit. Vive, Nu Tua Ket Luan, 9 Fan De Dong Not, Luke Nai Tse La Don, Kong Dung Yu Ka Kim Tra Dua Tren Tai Lu. Tai Nien, Tua Zak Din Duak Kung Chuan Da Audit. 1. Kim Tra Continuity / Mok Tri and Tua Se Doi Chiu Tung Fan Theo 6 Lop. Hang Muk Toi Se, Kim Tra Character Continuititan. Tuoi, Nay, Nguai Hin, Quan He. Tin Catch Ko by Doi Bat Ngo Kong Timelinenge / Thang / Nam, So Nam. Doi DM Su Kien Ko Kop, Now Kong Location Han Vat Dang O Dao. Di Chien Ko Hop Ly Kong Cause Effect Than Dong O Part Truok Ko Tuk Su Tao Are, Su Kien O Part, Sao Kong Emotional Continuity Cam Suk Chien Tu Tun Thuong Quiet Din Han Dong Ko, Du Ly Du Kong Motive Continuitinin. On siu, hop dong, vei on den, contre. Ko duok dung not xuan kong diem nai rat quan trong v outline chuan yu ka, Act I law parts 1 to 3, Act 2 law 4 to 6, Act 3 law 7 to 9, Voy progression 2 thiet lap, kung hong comeback, slash tsong, ly cam suck. 2. Yelenbi trong kak file twa tim duok chuako din nia chin tuk qua thuit ngu yelenbi. Nin twa kong muon tu gon nia chono. Nu ban dang dung yelenbi theo he thong riang qua ban. Hey cho twa beat, yelenbi viet tak qua come now. Hok goe file ko tu chi yelenbi. Kaidu twa se dan dao tung don. Set up emotional logic narrative bridge consequence twa se kong chi kim tra ko cam suk he kong. Ma kim tra zim cam suk o koi part and ko tuk su tao dong luke cho han dong o part n plus 1 he kong. Vaidu. Part 4. Ko fat hien su fan boi. Part 5. Ko lap tuctro ton co ton song. Few yelenbi nu kong ko qua trin jai tik ko lavon o dao. Ky nong gi. Tai sa chan kan duong du. And hung that by ban dao ra sa. Trong kai du. Betrayal quiet din roi di mat tai chin nin mot ko hoi naang geep that by hok hoi ze dung song tai comeback. Ko emotional plus causal bridge tot han. Du nai fu hop voing gwin tak qua he thong. Nin vat kong duok chi kok roi man me. Ma transformation phi the hien qua han dong. 3. Han dong phi tuk te twa se dac beat bat loy and hung dang nu. CEO 2y trui cap, du lu kan and slash non hong qua nuoi kok. Mot nan vat, du tra, batim duok moi thong tin chi trong vi geo. Nuoi by dui koi na and hung ham sauda, so hu don't engip true, du ma kong ko bridge. Mang tai slash sin con and hung timeline kong kop. Nan vat zut hien omot ton fo kok ma kong ko thoi john di chien. Mot CEO ko the tui y thay doi quiet din qua hoi dong quan tri slash tsong tai. Consat, ben veen, lut su. Toa on su ly tin hung theo kio fim and hung tre logic tuk te. Nan vat beat mot be mat ma kong ko ong wan thong tin hop ly. Mot han dong tao hao qua lon and hung kong ko fan ung tuong ung tu and hung nuoi sung quan. Twa kung se fan beat, cinematic exaggeration, voy plot hole. Kong Phi Moi Thursday Hoi Kich Tin Du La Phi Tuk Te. 4. American English Tai Lu Fong Kachu Ka Cam Giak Nu Phim Mai Chien the Tu Tu Thuyet. Voy Jong Ku Tram. Gwyn Luke. Lang Man Ko Kim Sot. Kai Audit 9 Fan. Twi Se Kim Tra. Grammar. Tense consistency. Articles. A slash and slash the. Prepositions. Singular slash plural. Subject. Verb agreement. Dialogue punctuation. American spelling. Color, favorite, center, realize. Natural American phrasing. Dialogue ko jong nuj mai tuk, su noi hei chi la English dike, tu tieng viet. Ka kwadai duon hung van fong ai. In hung cum dramatic. In hung native speaker kong thuong noi. Tu girl, woman, wife, mistress, CEO, billionaire, dung dung gukan. Twa kung se kong chi sua grammar. Mo ka dung gafap and Hong Kong tu neen voi nuoi mai van by Dan Dao. 5. Mot van de twata thay tu chin kak file mao kak content mao ko rat nu loi transcript slash English duong wan YouTube. 6 du 10 rieng by nen dang sai. Ka by din. Dao ka mat via mot. So cum rat machine transcribed. Chong han transcript dang tu ko kak don nu. Mr. Chas and M. Reynolds. St. Ability. P.E.I. Cho Thay Ban Transcript Kong the Dua Koi La Chuan American English De Copying Nguyen Trang. Vive, Twi Se Lay File, Van Fong Va Ky Thuet Viet, Lam Chuan Ve Style. In Hong Kong Lay Loi Transcript Qua Content Mao Lam Chuan Grammar. Kit Luan Hien Tai Chua the Zak, Nen 9 Fan Qua Ka Chien Siu the Dedong Not He Chua. V9 Fan Du Chua Zut Hien Trong, Du Lu Twa Ko the Doc Duok. In hung twata ko du kung audit de kim tra theo dung, he thong Mr. Peter stories. Continuity, timeline, causality, Yelenbi character logic realism, American English emotional arc motif, ending payoff. Banhei upload 9 fan kwa ka chien kan kim tra, part 1 to 9. Ko the la mot file hok new file. Sao kai ko du, twa se audit tone bo 2 part 1 den part 9. Chi ra tung loi cu the theo part slash don. MUC do critical slash major slash minor. Va noiro can suagi de mock tree and tuk su lean now. Fei Vichi Nenzet Chung Chung. In this emotional millionaire stories tale, a compassionate woman offers shelter and kindness to a mysterious man who appears to have nothing, never realizing that the quiet stranger is actually a powerful billionaire CEO hiding a vast empire behind his humble appearance. As their lives slowly become intertwined, trust grows through small acts of kindness, difficult choices, and moments of quiet strength, while the billionaire CEO discovers that the woman who helped him when he seemed to have nothing is the one person who sees his heart rather than his fortune. This cinematic millionaire stories journey explores love across social boundaries, hidden identity, dignity, sacrifice, redemption, and the powerful truth that genuine kindness cannot be measured by wealth. The millionaire stories narrative builds through emotional twists, elegant settings, heartfelt conversations, and a life-changing revelation that transforms everything they believed about each other. For viewers who enjoy billionaire romance, emotional relationship dramas, unexpected identity reveals, second chances, and powerful stories of love and loyalty, this millionaire stories experience delivers a moving journey from hardship to hope, from uncertainty to trust, and from a simple act of compassion to a destiny neither of them expected. At the heart of these millionaire stories is a reminder that true wealth is not always found in bank accounts, luxury cars, or billion-dollar empires, but in loyalty, courage, compassion, and the person who stays when there is nothing to gain.